How's it going, everybody? This is Jonathan Diaz, TK-16890. This is episode number 8 of Underneath the Helmet. Today's guest is Joe Mantello, TK-91452. How's it going, Joe?
Good, Jonathan. How are you?
Good, man. Good. How is the quarantine life treating you?
Oh, not much of a change in my life. Luckily, I'm with a company that was considered an essential business, so life really hasn't changed too much for me. Thanks. How about you?
As best as it's gonna get.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I
it's not bad.
understand.
It's cool. I get to
Right.
It's been a cool, like, doing all these has been a fun way to see everybody and talk to people I don't normally talk to on an everyday basis. So it's been fun.
Break up the monotony of looking at the four walls all day, I guess. Eh? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
So we'll start with the question that every Star Wars person gets asked all the time. What got you into Star Wars? How did you get started with Star Wars?
Well, I think that's probably everybody's first question. I was only at 12 years old. I was the audience that Star Wars was going after. So, I watched it in the movie theater. It was at the Mid Island Plaza movie theater when I was only 12 years old, and I must have went and paid my $4 back then to see it at least 10 times. It stayed there for, I think, if memory serves, probably 10 months back then. So I saw it as much as I could. And then, you know, my dad was one of the first ones to get a videotape player. And that was one of the first movies that I recorded from HBO. So then I got to watch it another 150 times at home. And I was right there, right near, with the all the toys and the merchandising. I was actually one of the recipients of the empty envelope that everybody got for Christmas that year, which I don't know if you know that story.
Yeah, of course, man.
You know that story, right? I guess
That's
a lot of
crazy. You
people
actually
don't.
had one of those.
I got the empty envelope for Christmas saying that we don't have the dolls made just yet, but you'll be the first ones to get them as soon as they're done.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome that you actually had that. I
Yeah.
have the fake new one that they made, the replica one that they made.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it really dates you when somebody that's 20 plus years old, even the high side of 20, says, "Was Star Wars really as big as everybody says it was when it first came out?" I'm like, "Oh God, yeah. What are we talking about? Gone with the Wind here or Star Wars?" Yeah, no, it was big. It was great. Makes you feel old.
It's still huge.
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is.
So you've been a fan since you were a kid. How, when you got older, did you find out about the 501st Legion and all this craziness that we do?
The 501st Legion was a secret to me for almost the first 20 years of its existence. And man, it kills me that I didn't know about the 501st Legion sooner. Uh, I was never really a big convention, sci-fi con, Comic Con guy, so I never went to any of these conventions. Occasionally, I'd go to see Star Trek, especially if William Shatner was there or someone. But I was redoing my garage. I wanted to make a nice man cave out of my garage. And I thought the coolest thing would be to have a Stormtrooper statue right in the corner of my garage. So when I went on eBay and I looked up Stormtrooper statue, and I said, wouldn't it be cool if you could actually take the armor off and wear it as a Halloween costume? So I found all these Stormtrooper mannequins with things, and in the fine print it would say, that it's approvable by the 501st Legion. And what's this 501st Legion? And it all started right there. Just sitting on my iPad one day, all started one there, and that was only 3 years ago. I found the 501st Legion by looking for a Stormtrooper statue from my garage. So of course I went on their website. I saw all of the upcoming appearances, and I, like everybody, started stalking them in the shadows and just looking and just showing up and seeing what these guys did. How cool these armors, the armor looked, up close, and Ron Laris, our Vader, and just was real friendly to me. This first troop I went to, It had to be 10 degrees outside. And they invited me back into the room where they all changed, and Ron took off his helmet and started telling me everything about the 501st Legion, and I was hooked. I had my first Stormtrooper kit within a month or so, and it took me about a month to build because I was working on it every single night. And on July 1st, I did my first troop, so it was quick.
Yeah,
Interesting path to get there, and it was quick. I was motivated.
That's pretty interesting to hear, because most people I talk to, they went to a convention and found out about the 501st and something like that. So it's interesting to hear that you were looking for a Stormtrooper statue for your man cave, and you just happened to stumble across it. You don't hear that much.
Right. One of the biggest Star Wars and Star Trek fans out there, and I just never knew. I never knew the 501st existed. Yeah. And it kills me because I wish I would have known about it 10 years ago, and I would have gotten involved back then. But glad I found it at 52 years old and not 62 years old.
Well, yeah, it's crazy how many people don't know about it that are big fans. Even when I meet a big Star Wars fan and they know about the 501st, I'm shocked, because I'm like, oh, you know about this? Like,
right. I had the same surprise when I would say, oh, I'm in this thing called the 501st Legion. Oh yeah, I know about the 501st. Oh yeah, you do? How did I miss this?
I'm still amazed when people know, but yeah, it's a very big thing now. Everybody knows.
Right. But boy, let me tell you, since joining, it's quite a hobby. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I've had some great times. I've met some great people, yourself included. Made a lot of good friends just in the 3 years that I'm in it.
Yeah, you make some life friends in this club. It's definitely a brotherhood, as I've told many other people in these interviews. It's become one big family for sure.
That's true. Well, it always happens when you get together with a lot of guys that you share a common interest. It's like you have halfway there of just being good friends right from there, and then it leads to other things that you're interested in, and we're all basically established people with families and other responsibilities, and just one thing leads to another, and you make some good friends.
Yeah, man. So you said before that you put together your own costume. I heard you put together your own Stormtrooper costume. How was that like? How was the process of getting a kit and learning how to put this thing together that you never knew how to do something like this before? I bet you never thought you were going to make a Stormtrooper costume in your life.
Oh, never. And let me tell you, it was a daunting task. It was just the whole idea of putting together, a Stormtrooper outfit. When you go onto the 501st Legion websites and you find the costume reference library and you see all the different costumes and you see what's involved, and then you see the level of detail that these have to be at, your first reaction is, I'm not gonna do this. I'll just pay somebody to do this. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna spend all this money and this thing's gonna look like garbage. And then, you start conversations with people. I remember it was Chris Fian, one of the first conversations I had. And I said, no, I'm not going to do this. And he's like, you can build it yourself. We all did it. You could do it. You could manage. So I just, I bit the bullet and I said, all right, well, let's give this thing a shot. Ordered it from an armor maker in the UK, Trooper Master. And it was a great experience. And he sent it over. And I kind of just sequestered myself in my basement for, night after night. And it just finally started coming around. You start getting used to the material, how that plastic works, and you get the right tools to work with it. And there's so much help on all of the websites, all these build threads, we call them, on the websites. You find out what kind of tools to use and how everything should look, and you just take your time. And it's doable. It wasn't as daunting as a task as I originally was petrified of. It wasn't a bad process. And actually, I kind of missed it when it was all done. I kind of missed coming down to my basement and working on my trooper outfit. So, of course, I had to start another outfit after that. It's a vicious cycle.
Oh, no, it definitely is a vicious cycle. And that's the cool thing. Once you build one, you can build a Stormtrooper costume now in probably half the time now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And if you start out on a Stormtrooper costume, everything else is downhill from there. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, gosh, gee, that's the best thing to learn, because then you pretty much have an idea of how to do everything else from there.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And since then, I've put together a Kylo Ren costume, a Darth Vader costume, and I just finished a First Order TK costume, Stormtrooper costume.
So you've been busy in 3 years of doing 501st.
Yeah. Well, I think looking back, I think I get the itch every 6 months or so. You know, and I always say, every 6 months or so, just out of the clear blue sky, I'll just, I'll get a yearning to build another costume. And I'll look around, I'll think about, what could be cool, what other guys are wearing, and I just decide and I just go for it. But the First Order TK costume, it was a little bit harder. I'm glad I did the regular order, the regular Stormtrooper first, because I think right? Didn't you put together one, or you have one in a box waiting for you, calling your name?
I was part of the second wave of people who got the costume. I was scared to death of that thing. It was sitting in a box. One of our members who moved to Florida, who's not with our Garrison anymore, he agreed to help me put it together. I give you tons of credit. It's just the time consumption that takes, the money that costume takes to put together.
Yeah.
And I got halfway through and I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to finish this. So Chris Feehan is the proud owner of my First Order Trooper. He took it, and even me being halfway done with things, he had to redo things, and he had a ton more work to do even when he got it from me. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess, as you know, and we'll tell everybody, it's the shape of some of the pieces can't be just molded out of plastic in one piece. You have to join pieces, whereas you don't have to do that for the original Stormtrooper. You have to mold the pieces, and to mold the pieces, they have to be perfect. So you have to use Bondo to hide the seams. And when you start putting Bondo and sanding things down, well, now you have to get it painted, and that's the next thing.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing about the new movies versus the old movies. With the old Stormtrooper costumes, they were put together very crudely.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, 501st, quality is better than the movies' quality.
Better than the originals. Absolutely better.
Because they were just meant to be wore for a scene or two, and the pieces were falling off. We have to wear them all day. So we've mastered the Stormtrooper costume. But with these new movies, and HD and 3D and all these high definition TVs and things have to be amazing looking, seamless. So now it's even harder for us to put together these crazy costumes.
Right. People looking from the outside in, when you explain to them the level of detail that has to be, perfect just for Legion acceptance, nonetheless, to get some of the other, higher accuracy awards that some of our detachments give. They have to be perfect, and I'll say to my wife, well, no, because this is a half inch too low, and and then we'll see one of the originals, and I'll say, that's wrong, and she'll say, because it was an actor on a screen for about 5 minutes, 30 feet away from the camera. They didn't care. I know, but we care. It has to be perfect. So it helps putting things into perspective, hearing somebody from give an opinion from the outside in.
When I started this journey, this 501st journey many years ago, before 501st, I didn't know there was a difference between a New Hope Stormtrooper and an Empire Strikes Back Stormtrooper, or there was a hero version and a stunt version. I mean, what people don't know, if you don't know, there's a different version of Stormtrooper for pretty much every movie. So I mean, that's how detailed the 501st gets. It has to be that accurate.
I remember my first afternoon when I found the CRL. I was at work. Thank God it was a slow day at work, and I looked at the 3 pictures. I copied and pasted all 3 pictures of the different Stormtroopers, and I must have looked at that thing for half the day, and I didn't see any difference. And I remember it was Chris or someone I was talking to. I said, okay, what is the difference? Oh, well, don't you see that part is black on this guy and it's gray on this guy? Oh, yeah, okay, all right. And the buttons, they're turned upside down on this guy and this guy.
And the shoulder
Okay.
bells
And
are
this
up on
guy's
this one.
right. This guy's got white soles on his shoes, and the other ones have black soles. Oh, yeah. Now, 3 years later, you could tell a difference from 100 yards away. Well, that's Strikes Back Stormtrooper, and that's a Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
And that's actually just the direction I went, because it just in my own way, I've always wanted to be a little bit different. I went for a Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper.
wow, that's rare. You don't see that.
Yeah, it's kind of rare. I don't know why, because if anything, it was a little bit easier. Putting it together, there were no cover strips. They were all overlap seams. So I thought it was a little bit easier putting it together. But yeah, so I always look a little bit different, at least to me, when we see everybody together.
Yeah.
But to your point, everybody will look at us all. And,
we're the only ones who notice. Kids have.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But you're right though about it just goes to, just to support what you had just said, the level of detail that the 501st Legion gets to. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect, but it's doable. Once you immerse yourself into this world and you start looking at all the difference, it's doable. It's not something to be afraid of. If anyone's out there thinking about building a Stormtrooper, it's doable. And it's a lot of fun. It's worth every minute of it.
And like I always say, like we just said, it's a 501st, and the Star Wars community, costume community is a big family. So you'll get help from every direction. Any website you ask, any forum for this, you'll ask a question, you'll get 1,000 answers. There's no shortage of help.
Right. And it's actually fun to be on the other side of that, because if I'm trolling through the Stormtrooper detachment site and somebody asks a question about, the Return of the Jedi version, I can't wait to get on there and answer the guy and show him, oh no, this is the way that's got to be done. And and you can see even, other people, they get blown away by the response. I'll write a half a page response to his one question, just to give them an idea of how to do it, who sells it, how to put it together, why it's different. And so it's actually nice to be on the giving end of that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And never be scared to ask questions. And anybody who wants to do it should definitely go for it.
Oh yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's worth every minute and every penny. It's not a cheap man's hobby by any means, but there's a range there too. And, you don't have to spend a fortune, but it takes a little commitment.
Well, like any guy knows, and how the old saying goes, the only difference between the men and the boys are the price of their toys. So every guy has a hobby that costs money. So if you want to jump into this one, you should know what you're getting into.
Right. Whether you're spending $300 for a new piece of chrome for your Harley Davidson, or $300 for a new pair of perfect movie screen accurate boots, that will cost $300. But the point is,
I have close friends that do fishing, and they spend crazy money fly fishing. And any hobby you do, you're gonna.
What do we work for? What do we go out and earn our livings for? As long as, thank God, you're able to pay your bills and everything is good, this is what we go out and we work for. Spend our money on things that we can enjoy.
So you've been doing this for 3 years. It seems like you got how many approved costumes at this point?
I just got my fourth approved costume. And, of course, it's frustrating because I got it approved just as we went into the recent virus lockdown, and I haven't been able to get out there and wear it. But there'll be times. There'll be times coming.
What people should be aware of is that we are doing a virtual troop for the quarantine time to keep us busy and keep everybody involved and give some people a something to do and have fun with. While all this craziness is going on. So our next troop is actually this coming Saturday. I'm pretty sure this will probably be posted either on or after that day. So
yeah.
But yeah, everyone should definitely check that out. Do you have any videos planned for the virtual troop?
I don't have anything yet, but my last one came to me probably 10 minutes before I started rolling. So I'm just waiting for inspiration to just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. You see other people start posting their videos, and you're like, okay, I can.
Right. It inspires you. You did a great one with the magic trick, and right. You just like you said, you watch a few, and all of a sudden you get an idea that it's a little bit different, and just start recording, and it comes out great.
So yeah, you've done a bunch of troops, I'm sure. Has there been any troop that's been a super like rewarding experience, or something that just really uh, something that really made this worth it for you?
Well, I gotta say, yeah, I've done well over 100 troops in the 3 years that I've been at, which pales in comparison to some of my friends out there that they're waiting for the 501st troop anniversary soon. That's going to be happening for them. But there have been some fun ones. There have been some fun ones. There have been some that are obviously really high profile, like being a stormtrooper on Yankee Stadium field and being able to walk out Ron Howard. Ron Howard was going to throw out the first pitch of the night. So a team of us stormtroopers got to walk out Ron Howard out onto the pitching mound, and that was just great. And then the year after that, being dressed as Darth Vader and being on the huge screen at Yankee Stadium, I should say your face, but it's not really your face, but you being on the big stadium screen. And then there's always down to the other end of the side of the spectrum with library troops and like local street fairs and stuff like that, where you just get the little kids coming right up to you just in amazement, just looking at you. It's just surreal to them. And sometimes it's not even the little kids, it's the adults, it's the people that are our age that grew up but never saw a stormtrooper in real life. Nowadays you can see them in Disney, but not everybody gets to go to Disney. But just people seeing a stormtrooper in real life up close, it always just blows people's minds. I don't care how old you are.
It's definitely crazy. Funny you mentioned the Disney stormtroopers. Last time I went to Disney with my fiance, I tend to wear 501st shirts when I go to Disney. That's my Disney shirts. I wear a 501st shirt.
Right.
And I wore a 501st shirt to Disney Hollywood Studios. This was before Galaxy's Edge, so there was just Star Tours and the other Star Wars things to do.
Yeah.
And I had workers coming up to me from Disney asking me about the 501st and talking to me. I had a stormtrooper break character asking me about the 501st.
That's great.
The craziest thing. I even we were one night in Magic Kingdom, buying all our souvenirs, spending obscene amounts of money on Disney stuff.
Of course.
It was like $200 worth of stuff. We get to the register, and my girl talked about the 501st. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm from the New York Garrison, blah blah blah." And she's ringing me up, and she's like, "All right, you're good." I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "No, you don't have to pay. Thank you guys for all the things you guys do. Everything."
Wow.
It was the craziest thing.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, 501st is just a crazy, weird thing.
That's great, and I always love hearing the stories of when us snobbish 501st people go to Disney and they look at the guy that's dressed as Kylo, walking around and say, "Yeah, he was good, but his belt buckle was upside down," and the TK, the stormtrooper that was walking around, he didn't have the right emblem over here, and it was you go crazy.
Well, it's just that it's just so embedded in our head. I don't think that it's that we're trying to be any type of way. It's just
it's embedded,
so embedded in our heads to like
it is
critique costumes.
Right, exactly. But I'll say, and I know Chris covered this. I was also part of the film release in Jordan in December.
I'm going to ask you, what's the craziest thing you've got?
Well, there you go. That was definitely falls under the craziest, and I can't really describe it as well as Chris did. He described it in good detail about the message that we all saw come across the forum at 11 o'clock at night about a troop in Jordan.
Yeah, man, tell me about it. Tell me about your experience with it. Like, what was your whole lead up to it?
Well, yeah, it was the same for a lot of us. Again, it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I saw this, and I was sitting next to my wife in bed, and I said, "Is this for real? This is never going to happen. Is this the whole world they're putting out, or just to the New York City?" I said, it's crazy, but you know what? I'm going to go elephant hunting. I'll put in for Vader. no chance I'm going to get Vader. I'll put in that I'm interested in getting Vader. And lo and behold, I got it. And Chris explained it well, how they originally cast like 8 people. And then all of a sudden they started peeling people off, 1 or 2 of the characters off, and we got it down to 4 originally. And then they were able to add a 5th guy. Ted Moy was actually to get in at the last minute. He got back onto the roster at the last minute. So it was 5 of us from New York, 5 from Florida. And then I got all excited. This is great, but I still just can't imagine this happening. And I went into my drawer and I find my passport, and it had expired a week prior. So not only I might be going to Jordan, I have no passport. So I paid extra for the accelerated passport. I had to drive up to Connecticut. I got the passport just in time. And still just not believing until I was sitting on that plane, actually flying to Jordan, and it happened. It happened. And boy, we got treated like movie stars, or at least our costumes got treated like movie stars for 5 days.
Yeah, crazy. You guys did. I think I said this in one of the other ones, but you guys did like 2 months worth of troops and a couple.
Oh yeah. Well, it was go, go, go. I mean, they treated us so nicely. The first day, they walked us around to all the different sites that we were going to be going to the next day. Told us where we were going to be changing, the paths we were going to take. They pre-walked the mall parade that we were going to do. So when the next day came around, again, it was just go, go, go. We did 4 troops in one day. But it all just went like clockwork because we had walked the whole troop the day before, and it would just costume on, costume off, costume on, costume off, and some very fulfilling troops. Obviously, the first one was a children's cancer center right in the capital of Amman, and just very nice people. Hospital troops, obviously. I'm sure everybody talks about our hospital troops.
Yeah, we always hear hospital troops, and you always hear like Yankee Stadium or stuff like that as the 2 top for either end of the spectrum. Exactly. But I mean, as you know, hospital troops that's for people that aren't in this group and don't know, and it's a very humbling experience. I'm sure you can explain. How is it over there in Jordan, the hospital experience?
It was a little different. It was a little different than walking around, Cohen's Children's or Stony Brook. The children over there, obviously, at that age, they weren't fluent in English. Most of them, 90% of them weren't fluent in English. And some of them didn't know what Star Wars was. So the hospital staff actually started playing the Star Wars movies and all of the lounges and all of the community rooms and everything the day before, so the children could watch these so they wouldn't be frightened at us when we actually showed up. So because not knowing who Star Wars was, and then Vader and 3 Stormtroopers come walking in, you could get a little scared. So they actually started playing the movies and just gave us a little bit of heads up. We obviously, like most hospital troops, we have to bring our guns home. Mm-hmm. We have to leave our guns home, I should say. We leave the blasters at home. But something was really, something really hit home when the hospital staff said that we actually have some Syrian refugee children here. So we definitely cannot walk around with the blasters on, and we'd actually appreciate it if you could pop off your helmet once or twice to let which is usually verboten when we do troops, but in this case we made an exception.
Yeah,
popped off our helmets just to let the kids, and we had no meltdowns. All the kids had great times. They enjoyed being with us and taking pictures with us, and obviously everybody knew what was happening, so a lot of the families had come to the hospital as well that day. So it was just a great big party. We did a lot of the rooms, and then we went to the big community room where all the families were, and it was just it was party central. We had a great time.
Yeah, I spoke to so far you about this troop, Eric and Chris. Eric was telling me that one of the highlights was when you guys went to the desert and some of the amazing photos you guys got to take. I mean, photos that a Star Wars fan can only dream of. So did you get
Oh
any
yeah.
good single shot photos of yourself?
Oh yeah, I sure did. All you got to do is look on my Facebook, and you'll see them. You'll see them all. But it was, again, maybe not being as much of a science fan fiction as other guys. I remember Chris had said when we were going there, we're going to go to the Wadi Rum Desert. I says, okay. What's a Wadi Rum Desert? Oh, don't you know? This is where they filmed that scene and this and the different movies and okay, all right, fine. It sounds like good. Sounds like fun. And we had seen the movie the night before. We were at the world premiere of the movie the night before, so I got to see where we were going the next day. But no words can describe, no pictures can describe or anything. You're seeing that place in person.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I would say it's a cross between the Sahara Desert and the Grand Canyon mixed. It's amazing landscape.
And I mean, for people that aren't even sci-fi fans at all, I mean, that's just a crazy historical and
right
the Bible and just so many crazy things about that place. I mean, that's just quite a place to be.
Oh, it was just breathtaking landscape, and we had our guys that stuck with us, and these guys, you could tell these guys have been going out there since they're kids. Mm-hmm. And we were in all the 4x4s and these guys, and they were racing through the desert and bouncing over the sand and the sand's flying, and it was so much fun. So, and we, as Chris had described, we went to 4 different locations, and it was really cool because this is the location you just saw in the movie not 12 hours ago being filmed there. And we suited up at our first location. We actually suited up in the middle of the desert and started taking these pictures with these amazing backdrops behind us, and just trip of a lifetime. Absolute trip of a lifetime.
Wow, that's crazy. And as I told everybody else, I'm very jealous.
yeah, we wish you could have been there, man. We wish the whole Garrison could have been there.
Yeah, you know what? I hesitated on signing up because I just finished doing another dream troop where I got to do the Sith Trooper.
As a Sith Trooper?
Yeah, so I just did that, and they already asked me to do another one later on for the ESPN thing, and I was like, no, I'm going to take off all this time from work. And you know what? I should have just bit the bullet and applied.
Yeah. Well, I'll say next time, but I don't know if there's going to be whenever the next time is going to be for something like that.
Listen, me and Chris said and everything, we've done some pretty crazy things and crazy opportunities we've had because of the 501st, but that definitely was the craziest thing I've ever heard happen for first.
We all know how fortunate we were to be lucky enough to just be in the right place at the right time to even get the invitation, and then on top of that to actually get picked.
Yeah, that's probably second to the guys in California being in the Mandalorian show.
Right.
But that's probably the only other thing that comes close to that.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of fun, though. A lot of fun. So, see, everybody, if you join the 501st Legion, you just never know what.
Yeah, you never know what's going to come up. I mean, we all joined that fun. We all joined that fun and do some charity work and all these other random crazy opportunities.
Right.
Yeah. So
and even if something like that doesn't come along with you, just what you say, just all the gratifying charity work and all the other, high profile, exciting events, getting on stage with Weird Al Yankovic and doing a dance as a stormtrooper behind Weird Al Yankovic, things like that.
I've had
just come along.
Choreography.
Yeah, I wasn't too good at it either. But even if things like that don't come along ever, you still it's such a gratifying little hobby.
Yeah, and all the friends you make and all the cool experience you get learning how to build and just it's just crazy. Right.
It takes a little while to get used to for every costume. I always likened it to the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz when you got a full Stormtrooper suit on. Trying to, because the first time you try everything on for the first fitting, you're going to say, what was I thinking? It doesn't fit. It hurts. I can't imagine doing this. But all of a sudden you start loosening up this strap and you start tightening that strap and you start doing a little research about how other people do things. And all of a sudden by your third or fourth troop, you're comfortable as can be and everything's just fine.
Well, for my first troop, my big thing was more that it wasn't uncomfortable. It was that I was uncomfortable and I was like, so what do I do with my hands? I didn't know how to act the part. I was just like walking around. And I'm in a Stormtrooper costume, still looking at all these other Stormtroopers in amazement.
Right.
While I'm in a Stormtrooper costume. Like,
Right.
So it took me a while to then, after 4 or 5 troops, you're the character and you're walking around and you're like, in charge of yourself. And
took you a while to get comfortable in your own skin.
Oh, for sure.
Being in that thing.
It doesn't quite hit you right away that I'm a Stormtrooper.
Right. And, despite what I had said before about seeing Stormtroopers for the first time up front, up close, just being so, inspiring. I remember the first time I had completed my armor and put it 10 feet away from where I'm sitting right now on a mannequin, fully dressed on a 6-foot-tall mannequin, and just the awestruck that you got from that, just standing in my own basement looking at my own Stormtrooper costume on a mannequin, just staring at it. You could just stare at it. Yeah, so a lot of fun.
Great experience, man. Well, Joe, I thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, pleasure was mine, Jonathan. Good time.
It's cool that we get to talk. It's cool that we get to do something creative in these weird times.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing this. I hope the message gets out to a lot of people out there that have watched us from afar and wanted to know. Hopefully we shared a little bit more with you guys about what it's like to be in the 501st Legion, and that you take the step. Get the initiative. And go on our websites, find out a little bit about us, and take it from 2 guys right here that do this. It's not impossible to do it, to get it done. You're gonna have fun, and you're gonna make instant friends. So everyone's welcome.
And we will try our best to put some links in the description or the body of this, so everybody can do a little research of their own.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Joe. Thank you for all this. All right, everybody. See you later.
Okay.